Hello and welcome to Türkiye Talks. I am joined by Kadir Üstün from Washington, and we are going to look at the developments of this week and most important incident, most important development in Turkey's foreign policy was President Erdoğan's visit to Saudi Arabia, and also there are important developments in Ukraine. We are going to analyze these two developments and maybe more issues. Kadir, it was the last visit of Turkish president to Saudi Arabia was, I think, in 2017, and after 5 years and after many conflicting situations between the two countries, this visit was important, and it was highlighted in the international media as well. Some people said Saudi Arabia needed this visit more. Some people said it was Turkey's choice. So apart from this, how do you evaluate this visit after 5 years, and what it tells us about the regional politics today and beyond?
Thank you, Bora. We've discussed some of this in previous episodes, but I guess we can go into more detail today. As we discussed before, there's a regional realignment efforts in all fronts. This is a post-pandemic situation. The region is emerging from a series of shortages in terms of food shortages. Oil prices are high. There are many challenges on the economic front for everyone in the region. And at the same time, there is obviously Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the implications of that. That is also contributing to some of these shortages. Beyond these, of course, Turkey has been trying to talk to everyone in the region for a while now. It's made up with the UAE. President Erdoğan's visit to the UAE, we had a special episode on that as well in this program. Turkey has been talking to Emiratis, Saudis, Israelis, and others in the region. And if we go back a little bit, the kind of downward trend in Turkish-Saudi relations happened because of the Khashoggi murder in Istanbul. And that was a very sort of unprecedented event in many ways. It went to the heart of sort of Turkey's diplomatic posture. Turkey as a safe country for other diplomats in the world. It was a very serious affair, and Turkey didn't just let it go. And that cost the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, quite a bit, I think, in terms of how he was perceived in the international arena. And of course, the fact that Khashoggi was writing for Washington Post, and the head of Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, wouldn't let this go personally, but also, American lawmakers and public opinion makers, etc. This became a very, very big deal beyond Turkey. And, at the same time, in the past several years, we've seen energy prices increase. Turkey is very much dependent on energy sources from Russia and Iran and Iraq, Libya, others. So the energy markets, how they fluctuate in recent months and weeks also contribute to a situation where energy costs are very high for everyone. So this is kind of the context, both the post-COVID situation, difficulties in energy markets, and the fact that it's been several years since that Khashoggi affair. And I just want to also remind people that, at the time when Turkey brought up this issue to the public international fora, he was not. Turkey did not attack Saudi leaders personally. Turkey was focused on Saudi doing something about this, sort of coming forward. And President Erdoğan especially spoke to the Saudi king, Mohammed bin Salman's father. So Turkey never took, let's say, attitude where attacking the Saudi royal family directly at a personal level. And, also there's millions of pilgrims from Turkey every year that go to Saudi Arabia. So Turkey's relationship with Saudi Arabia is very important. So we are seeing that all of those considerations and interests coming together and pushing this latest rapprochement between Turkey and Saudi Arabia, and Erdogan's visit seems to be the beginning of that rapprochement. So I just want to, I'm sorry I kept this too long, but one more thing I want to add. There is very recently, I think last week or this week, Biden administration named a new ambassador to Saudi Arabia. So there are some voices increasing in the United States that the United States must sort of make up with Saudi Arabia or create a working relationship. Remember, President Biden called Saudi Arabia a pariah country. It was very, very strong sort of words for Saudi Arabia after the Khashoggi affair. But now, United States needs Gulf to increase oil production in the face of Ukraine's invasion by Russia. EU just announced that they want to phase out oil dependency on Russia. So oil continues to be important, although, there's a huge effort throughout the world to phase out oil and go to other sources, but that's not easily doable. And the West needs Saudi Arabia and UAE and others in the meantime in this transitional period to produce more oil. I'm sorry I kept this too long, but this is what it looks like from outside to me. The Turkish-Saudi rapprochement's dynamics, broader global and regional dynamics. Perhaps you can talk about how it was perceived from the by the Turkish media, and then how Turkish leaders talked about this. I don't think there was a lot of opposition to this from the opposition groups in opposition parties in Turkey. If I'm wrong, correct me on that one, Bora.
In Turkey, when you take a foreign policy decision or a move, AK party, AKP party is ruling for the last 20 years. So you have to update and adjust the new situation. But in domestic politics, it's been used as, the government is making U-turns. A few years ago you said this, now you say this. That kind of opposition going on. But I think we should underline and remind everyone that Turkey managed Khashoggi case brilliantly. Imagine this murder took place and Turkey didn't know it, didn't catch it. So the case would be an American Arab journalist disappeared in Turkey. And imagine what kind of incident and image would Turkey present to the world. So Turkey first uncovered this murder, and its communication was done, as you mentioned very well. Turkey didn't attack any Saudi royal member of the family, but at the same time, Turkey revealed what has happened and also forced officials to accept what has been done to the journalist. And Turkey provided proofs, material, and everything is being done in a very good way, so that this murder just didn't went away, and everybody knows right now what has happened. Also, the Qatar case, when we look at Turkish-Saudi rift in the last couple of years, the embargo or blockade against Qatar by Gulf countries, and Turkey's position was at that time again was very difficult. Turkey took a position supporting Qatar and its her interest in this country where Turkey has military base and good economic and political relations. So I think when we look at the reasons of Turkish-Saudi problems in the past, they didn't come out from Turkish position. Actually, Turkey was in a position of defending its position, and also in terms of values, Turkey was protecting the rights of a slain journalist. So when we come to this position, I think after Turkey made it point, and after there was an international support, and everybody understood what has happened, and Saudi government accepted its responsibility in this, and at some point after also removal of the blockade against Qatar, there was a new environment, and Turkey adjusted to this position. But of course, in domestic politics, these are not the analysis that we have seen during the last couple of days after the visit. But this is the situation, and I think those who are taking these developments serious probably understands what's happening. So this is a realignment, recalibrating foreign policies of region, not only Turkey, but also many other countries. And also, as you have mentioned, after all, European Union decided to stop buying oil from Russia within 6 months. They are planning to make it zero. They want to reset, and there will be more and urgent need for European countries to divert their energy sources. And I think Gulf is the number one region for them to reach. So Turkey's position is special in this regard in terms of geopolitical situation, its geographic situation, geographic location. Turkey is on the way from Gulf countries, Gulf region to the west, and it provides cheaper and more stable route to energy transportation for Europe. I think that's why we will see more realignment, not only in Gulf countries, not in the Middle East, but also Europe will have to review its position vis-a-vis Turkey and other countries. I don't know if you want to add a little more on that.
Yeah, thanks for bringing up the Qatar issue, the blockade. Turkey had supported Qatar very strongly. It actually intervened and helped the Qatari royal family. And in many ways, the other Gulf nations, when they wanted to corner Qatar, ultimately that failed. Eventually, Qatar also pursued a good diplomatic strategy, and now they're in at least normalized terms. The other dynamic I wanted to add, as you were mentioning this, I remembered also Yemen, right? There were a lot of, let's say, there was a humanitarian crisis. There still is, I believe, and basically that was Mohammed bin Salman's first foray into the region in terms of sort of trying to exert Saudi power, project Saudi power in the region. And that was a bit of a disaster, to be honest. And UAE was also there, but UAE kind of quickly realized that was costing them too much internationally, diplomatically. There was a strong reaction by the US side, and especially the progressives within the Democratic Party were quite, they had strong words about Yemen. So that also contributed to the sort of Western perception about Saudi Arabia. And remember also the Hariri's sort of, Hariri was brought to Lebanese, prime minister was brought to Saudi Arabia. And so Mohammed bin Salman also, kind of shook down some of the royal families. So all that contributed to Mohammed bin Salman's perception in the West and created an environment as, where Saudi Arabia was seen as an actor that was destabilizing the region and then, causing humanitarian crisis in Yemen, and then not really, coming clean on Khashoggi affair, etc. But post-pandemic, now with the dynamics we talked about, Russia's role in the energy sector, I think everybody is taking a new look at these dynamics, at these countries, including Europe, like you said. How are you going to get rid of oil? In the meantime, everything is based on oil. So you need a transitional strategy. And I think Saudis are going to be a critical player in that sort of dynamic. At the same time, I think Saudi Arabia recognizes, and Mohammed bin Salman recognizes, that oil is not going to be their future. Oil, they're trying to also kind of change their economy away from a oil-based economy to an economy based on finance, tourism, advanced technologies, robotics, etc. So they recognize, oil won't be around for too long, maybe a decade or two more. But in the meantime, that transition, when it's happening, it's not going to be easy. So I think when you look at this picture, we're going to see soon efforts by the West to kind of create some sort of working relationship with Saudi Arabia, given these broader challenges. And let's not forget that, OPEC has been cooperating with Russia for a while, so it won't be easy for OPEC countries like Saudi Arabia to move away from Russia that easily. They're not going to do the bidding of the United States like they used to. They would just increase production whenever the US asked. That's not happening anymore. And when they don't increase the production, the oil prices keep going up, remain high. Energy prices hit everyone, every economy. Global inflation is at historic record highs. So I think while Turkey is trying to also, normalize with countries like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Israel, and others, I think there will be a broader movement that from the West as well to try to normalize with Saudi Arabia. When we say normalize, we also shouldn't forget Turkish-Saudi relations never formally broke down. There was a political crisis. And there were news that, the Turkish business people found it hard to operate inside Saudi Arabia. Trade volume was going down, etc. So it was more underhanded, let's say. There was no formal breakdown of relations. And as we pointed out earlier, you pointed out as well, Turkey never, targeted the Saudi royal family. So it may not have been as difficult, let's say, to try to come up with a rapprochement formula.
And also maybe we should also underline the fact that this incident, Khashoggi incident, stalled Saudi Arabia's 2030 vision. I remember when Saudi prince took over, he revealed his plans for 2030, and as you mentioned, he wanted to change the economy. He wanted to change the social life in Saudi Arabia. I remember there was a big city project, NEOM, at the Red Sea. It was planned to, they were planning to build a big city where international, expats would work on digital, on different fields. So it would be a hub. So also Saudi Arabia's relations with Egypt. Saudis saw Egypt as a foot in the Eastern Mediterranean. There was the project of a big bridge between Saudi Arabia to Egypt, having a land connection. So all of them stalled after Khashoggi incident. And I think with this reapproachment with Turkey and with other countries, Saudis also want to revive their 2030 vision. So this visit for them was also important because Turkey was the key in this Khashoggi case. So after Turkey accepted to deliver this case to Saudi authorities according to agreements which allow Turkey to give this case to the country. So I think it was very important for Saudis as well, because when we look at Saudi perception of threat, they have the issue of their regime security, they have issue of Iran's threats. So I think Saudi Arabia also understands that only having good relations with the US and Israel didn't help them. So they have to realign themselves with the regional countries like Turkey. So I think for both sides this was an important visit, and I think both countries will benefit from it. Also, I want to underline again the importance of energy security for European countries and Turkey in between these two regions with its digital infrastructure, with its logistical infrastructure, roads, and all the investments that Turkey have done for the last 2 decades are important. Turkey's human resources, we have a very young and integrated people who can work for international companies. I think from this point of view, this visit will accelerate European connection with the Gulf countries, and also I believe that there will be a readjusting of European policy makers to the new situation. Having said that, maybe we should touch upon Ukrainian case. There are new developments, and as you mentioned, European Union now putting new, they are taking new decisions on how to deal with Russia, and Russians are accelerating their operations, especially in Mariupol. They are trying to complete this land bridge with Crimea. How do you see the recent developments in Ukraine?
Thank you, Bora. I think, as you know, as we've been discussing, all these issues are very interrelated. As we talked about it multiple times by now, the Western pressure on Russia has failed to deter Russia, but it has been effective in pushing Russia to change strategy. At first, remember, it looked like Russia was interested in taking over the entire country. Zelensky's sort of resistance and the whole country, they've proven effective in defending their country. at huge cost. Of course, it hasn't been easy, and it continues to be very difficult. But the Western support has stalled Russian progress, and it pushed Russia to focus on Donbass. And the most recent visit by, the U.S. Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State, Austin and Blinken, during that visit, they made statements that were interpreted as sort of a strategy shift on the U.S. side. Basically, U.S. started talking about weakening Russia to a point where it can never do this again against another nation. So that's important because it wasn't, the US had been restricting itself to talking about basically helping Ukraine defend itself. But if you move from that to weakening Russia, that's a strategy shift. And the support has been strong, and it's getting even stronger. Biden administration has proposed something like $23 billion, I believe, a new package of basically military support and economic support, etc. So we are, Ukraine is basically turning into a battleground between Russia and the United States in many ways. At the same time, the Europeans are trying to reduce and phase out their dependency on energy sources from Russia. And we have Turkey. Turkey was trying to actually get a ceasefire and broker a peace deal eventually, because we've discussed this again many times, because Turkey has important relationships with both countries, Ukraine and Russia. This conflict is costing a lot in terms of, energy prices, food supplies, and it's impacting everything else in the region. So Turkey is almost in a rush to try to get the both sides to come and talk face to face and broker a deal. And you never know, that could happen. But the dynamics of the broader war right now is such that, it will be months before probably we get to an agreement. But of course, terms of that ceasefire and terms of a potential peace deal, what the Ukrainians are willing to give up or not, that will all, be the main factors in this conflict, and it won't be easy. So we are at a place where Russia is refocusing, and it's actually intensifying its attacks on certain regions. Like you said, Mariupol, they are probably going to declare some sort of victory soon. It's May 9th is Victory Day in Russia, and they would like to have that more morale boost for their troops, for their operations. And we'll see how much that's going to help, because the longer the conflict goes, I think Ukrainians feel even more confident. United States just announced they're going to return their diplomatic, corps to the capital, Kyiv. So, the longer it goes, the more sort of willingness on the Ukrainian part to fight and to resist. And they're getting all this support from the West. So I hope it doesn't turn into a sort of, proxy war between the US and Russia, but that's kind of where we are headed, it seems. Bora, I don't know if that dynamic could be really broken anytime soon. It would be better if, there was a peace deal soon, but we'll see. How do you see it? How do you evaluate Turkey's efforts on that part?
I think, the conflict itself proved both sides are losing. From Russian point of view, Russian military power or military capabilities have been exposed. We have seen that they couldn't manage to control the capital Kiev. They lost thousands of maybe soldiers, according to Ukrainian sources. We have seen Russian convoys being hit by Ukrainians, soldiers all around streets. They put themselves into a situation of looting Ukrainian homes. So these are, I think, working in expense of Putin. So I think he also lost his confidence to his generals. We have seen many military officials removed from their positions. Also, it took, we are in the third month of the fighting, so he couldn't achieve his basic goals. And as you have said now, he focused on establishing a land bridge between Crimea and Russian territory. So I think this has been exposed, and Russia is consuming its political power, its military power, and its economic power. They are losing markets in energy field. So I think it is not working for Russians, and they are losing all, even if they have controlled the land bridge, the Black Sea coast. I don't think in the long run this will be serving Russian interests. From Ukrainian point of view, their cities are being bombarded, their industry, their economy collapsed, their people had to leave their homes. Millions of Ukrainians are now refugees. So I think it will take maybe decades for Ukraine to recover. If they lose their ports in Black Sea, their economy will be in difficult situation. They are losing their big deep ports in Azov. So I think both sides are losing, and in this point, Turkey's efforts to bring these two countries together are very important. Although Ukrainian president, when he spoke to Greek television, he made statements against Turkey, and this has been criticized in Turkish public. But still, Turkey is the only country probably who can talk to both countries. Turkey's relations with Ukrainians were very strong before the war, and Turkey supported Ukrainian territorial integrity. Turkey had military agreements with Ukrainians, so they are also in NATO. Turkey's stand was very clear. But on the other hand, Turkey is also playing and trying to bring Russians to the table. Also, last week we have seen that there was exchange of, let's say, prisoners, or it took place in Turkey, and both leaders thanked Turkey. So I think Turkey's role is still important, but it is up to the sides. Turkey can only facilitate negotiations. Turkey cannot impose its will on the fighting sides. So I think after President Erdoğan visited Saudi Arabia, he made statements about Ukraine and Turkey's efforts. So Turkey will continue playing this role, but as I told, it's up to Zelensky and Putin and the situation in the front line. So I think we will see Turkey's efforts going on, but it's up to parties.
I would definitely agree with that, Bora. At this point, it's kind of natural for both sides to keep increasing the stakes and talking tough and talking big. But if Russia is willing to play this game of destroying Ukrainian cities as long as it takes, and it's not really phased by Western support for Ukraine or Western efforts to isolate the country, at least for a while, it can sustain these losses, right? Because there are still buyers of Russian oil, China, India, and others, and it won't be easy for Europe to divest from natural gas sources, Russian ones. So probably Putin feels like he has some time in his hands, and then Zelensky probably feels emboldened because he's proven effective leader. He's saved his country's capital. It's been, like you said, it's going to take years for reconstruction, but there's a lot of strong support by the West. So both sides can probably will calculate that they are not there yet. They still have some things to achieve, and that is a recipe for a prolonged conflict.
Okay. Kadir, with this, I think we are at the end of this week's show. Thank you very much. And
thank you, Bora.
Hope to
and
talk
we should
about.
say Eid Mubarak to everyone.
Yeah, and hope to talk about different issues next week.
Thank you.
Happy Eid and bye-bye.